This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Today's podcast is brought to you by Leverage, a new fully featured decentralized futures exchange without compromise. Leverage is a DEX, so you can trade with your keys and sign orders with just one click. And Leverage is fast. Yes, indeed. Leverage is powered by Gluon, a layer 2 solution with the scalability and speed of a centralized exchange and the super low fees of a DEX. That's right, Leverage combines the best features of CeFi and DeFi so you can trade crypto spot and derivatives with up to 100x leverage while maintaining control of your assets at all times. And this month, Leverage are running a trading competition with a $25,000 grand prize that goes to the account that gets the largest dollar value increase over that period. And there's lots of smaller prizes too. Want in? Of course you do. If that's you, go to leverage.io for all of the details. And of course, Leverage is spelled Leverj.io and trade the future of crypto today. And now it's on with the show.
Yeah, boy!
My guest today is Jonathan. He's slightly pseudo-anonymous, so we'll just leave it with Jonathan. But Jonathan is the lead developer and CEO of Aleph. And Aleph is a cloud computing platform that makes it easy for DeFi and Web3 dApps to securely access trusted off-chain data or computation. And one of their current projects is working to solve the problem. It's a newly identified problem of NFT security standards and ownership. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Hello, thank you. Really happy to be here.
So to begin with, Jonathan, whatever you're prepared to share, but just love to hear a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you first began to interact with the blockchain space.
I have used computer for a really long time, since I was a child, actually. And I've always been really interested in software development, design, and also cryptography. I have been working at big banks for a while as a consultant into accounting softwares and things like that. Then I moved on to more electronic engineering stuff. And when I forayed into crypto, I started doing development. Back in the days, I started doing this for Nulls, which is a Chinese blockchain project, and I saw that there were some kind of missing links in the toolchain, so that I couldn't make like really big application. Let's say I wanted to do a full Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, or like really big application on top of the decentralized solutions. Then it wasn't possible. So that's how Aleph was born, because I started working on a side project at NAS. Then I scaled it into a full-fledged project. And the idea was to be able to provide database entries, storage features for like really big data sets, and also computing in a way that would be chain agnostic. So that's how Aleph was born, and that's how I came to Aleph.
And so I gather that when you started Aleph, you probably didn't have NFTs as a use case, right? But it just so happened that you've been building this company, building this solution, and now with the rise of the NFT market, I guess you've identified that there is a potential problem, and you might have something to fix that problem. So I guess just before we dive into what the problem is and how you propose to solve it, I'd love to get your thoughts, Jonathan, on just the rise of the NFT market. I'm sure you've been watching with interest. What do you think?
I think that there is a few forces at play. The first one is the arrival of the non-reproducible nature of the blockchain assets to the art environment and to the unique part of the ecosystem. That's really the non-fungible part, and that's what everyone is excited about. There is another part, which are people who saw that as a monetary opportunity to them. This is where some kind of bubble might be in progress. I think that we all see that. I'm kind of excited because we are tapping into a new pool of people that wouldn't have been interested into blockchain in the first place. So that's really interesting for the world space to show a new area of interest of the blockchain and cryptographical technologies. Because when we say blockchain, in reality, it's what we really see as a good point of improvement are the elliptical curve cryptography, hashing mechanism, on a peer-to-peer data sharing, etc. The actual chain of blocks isn't really the very, very important part of it, even if that allows us to get the unicity part. So I think that it's really, really interesting as a movement to have those NFT, but I think that it will still move a bit because there are a few lacking parts, which are the encryption part of the standards, which aren't included in the standards today. Let's say, I think that NFTs should have an encrypted part that is only available to the owner of the NFT. And this isn't part of the standard yet. It's not really hard to implement with all the elliptic curve cryptography that we have, since we now have ACS and stuff like that that allow to like encrypt for a specific public key. I think that it should come in the next few years. Also, specific features available to the NFT, and that's where the DeFi could be interesting on that play. Let's say that if you want that NFT, you can get this and this feature, for example. So I think that it's really early in the history of NFT, but it's quite exciting for reasons.
Yeah, so, and look, we'll talk about the security standards a little bit more in just 1 second, but, it's funny because when you start talking about, security standards and, deep, dark internet protocols and blockchain protocols and elliptic curve cryptography, that is one side of the equation. And then on the other side of the equation, you've got people like Paris Hilton, who has overnight seemingly become one of the highest profile NFT influencers, shall we say. We've got the New York Stock Exchange announced just today that they are going to release a series of NFTs to, I think, something like commemorate as new companies list their stocks. Saturday Night Live, of course, had a very funny Eminem-based NFT parody that was fantastic entertainment, and they ended up selling that piece of content as an NFT as well. So you've got this incredible bubbling mishmash of popular culture, and I think you referred to it potentially as a bubble, and that's kind of just the froth on top, right? But yeah.
But there is something that is concerning me with all that, is that let's say you bought your NFT $60 million. I won't say what I'm referring to, but everyone understands, I think. The thing is that what happened, because, yeah.
People, sorry, please continue.
If the thing is that for your NFT, to get the actual image and content, you will request to the smart contract, you will tell to the smart contract holding your NFT, hello, can you please give me the metadata for this token ID? You get it, and you get a URL. And then you query this URL to get the metadata. And this metadata can be stored anywhere, even on centralized servers. And then in this metadata, you have fields. And like the image is another URL that is on another potentially centralized server. And that's where things can get tricky, because if your centralized server goes down, your whole NFT is valueless because there is nothing behind it.
Yes, and so the problem that you're describing, or the situation that you're describing, Jonathan, so I first became aware of this like probably many people, just maybe 2 weeks ago. There was a Twitter thread by a guy called Jonty Waring. You may have seen that Twitter thread, but basically he said, and I'll put a link to the thread in the show notes, but he basically said, hey, I'm going to look at NFTs, and wow, this is really weird. Look, the NFT token that you bought, it points to a URL on the internet or an IPFS hash. In most circumstances, it references a gateway on the internet run by the startup that you buy the NFT from, which is what you're talking about, Jonathan. So if that startup or marketplace, it is really just a centralized authority, right? And of course, this is the problem that crypto is supposed to solve. And yet, if so, the idea is if you buy a URL, a NFT from one of these marketplaces, if that marketplace goes under and companies go under, they go bust, they disappear from the internet all of the time, then there's a problem if your NFT vanishes with them. So, I mean, you can pick up the story here and just add in any other context into what the problem is here in terms of, current challenges with, it's called the Interplanetary File System, right? IPFS, which is a great name.
Well, IPFS here is quite cool for that, and because you can have a specific hash, which is a content identifier. This content identifier has the hash of the files, and if it's a folder, includes the hashes of the file inside the folder, let's say, so that you can change the content. If the URI is on IPFS hash, it's pretty cool. If it's on a centralized gateway, well, you can't derive and find back all the CID to get it on another gateway. That's not the main issue here. The main issue here on IPFS is that if the authority that has put the content in the first place goes down and no one else wants to store it, your data is gone. Because it's just a way to find content on the internet. It's not a permanent storage by any means. So IPFS is a good solution, but it's just one part of the solution. What I recommend today is to have IPFS URIs for your content inside NFTs, and to have the full IPFS content stored on a decentralized network like Aleph.im, which we are doing. But that's why we are also working on a solution for like NFTs that haven't been made that way, and for NFTs that have been made stored on IPFS. We are also providing a solution to pin the full data on our network.
That's
I can
right.
go back on this solution later if you want.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to your solution in 1 second probably. But we should also point out, Jonathan, that this doesn't apply to all NFTs, right? There are a number of, I think, the newer projects, and I think that includes Avastars and Art Blocks. So these new NFTs have been designed to live entirely on chain, so that the storage of both the metadata and the visual media content are both decentralized, and they do live entirely on chain, that's kind of the purest form of digital ownership that most people think of when we think of NFTs. But it's some of the I guess the older style NFTs haven't been designed or architected in that way. Also, well, let's come back to your solution then. What do you have a name for it, or it's just I understand it's an NFT backup dApp, which
Well, it's an NFT backup dApp, which is inside our account.aleph.im dApp, on which you can manage your account on public data. Basically, you need to hold Aleph tokens, and then with those tokens, you come on add NFT backups. Basically, you will enter a URL of your NFT on a platform, be it OpenSea, Rarible, or whatever, and then we will try to like guess, because in the URL there is often the contract address and the token ID. Which are the most unique identifier of your NFT. It's a contract address and a token ID. And then we find it and we fill it on the right, you verify and you validate. Then the full UI will present you with your NFT data, pictures, video, metadata. If that looks well, you can click backup. And then the system will present you with a list of action. If your NFT is already on IPFS, pretty good. We will just go and pin that data on our decentralized network, storage network. So the good part with that is that all your original URLs will still be good in the future. If the gateway goes down, it's just a matter of replacing the gateway, but it's pretty easy to do. So for that end, your NFT will be secure for a long time. If it's not on IPFS already, what we will do is that we will go and fetch all the metadata of your NFT, all the pictures, download them, and re-upload them on IPFS with a document stating, okay, at this date and time, the metadata of this NFT was exactly this, and then you make a snapshot, and you have a public URL of your snapshot for your NFT.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually, Jonathan. So I love this idea that you can just down to the level of the individual user with any kind of NFT, they can come along and use your service to effectively make a backup copy of their NFT. And I guess, as you kind of alluded to before, and there are a number of people, if they're holding a CryptoPunk or a Beeple or anything like this that is worth a serious amount of ETH, it's probably a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, clearly, yeah. The cost of it is even not really expensive. Currently, it's 1 Aleph for 3 megabytes of storage that way. And this storage is replicated 50 times across servers that clearly have skin in the game, because they need to like have a lot of Aleph to run, because this is our most expensive storage. It's replicated on the core channel nodes of the servers, which are the equivalent of the validators of our network. Because we are not a blockchain, it's called core channel node, because we are a peer-to-peer network with a different topology. But so yeah, it's pretty secure. And it only costs 1 Aleph for 3 megabytes. And I think that the current price of the Aleph is like around 50 cents currently. So that if you have a Beeple which weighs, I think that 20 or 30 megabytes, it will cost you 10 Aleph, which is like $5 to like back up it.
Well, it's still, and that is ridiculously cheap, even compared to most Ethereum transactions.
Yeah, yeah, clearly.
Yeah. If we zoom out a bit, I guess, what kind of use cases are people using Aleph for, apart from, your new niche NFT backup service? What are some of the other use cases that you're trying to make available with, I guess, this decentralized file storage?
Well, the most important part of the network is not only file storage, it's also database entries and computing. The thing is that all actions are really instant on the network and are feeless for the user. A few use cases that arise are like social networks. For example, we are building with Solana a Solana social network. Also with Synapse, decentralized identity system so that you can go on, let's say, one exchange, and then you can reuse your KYC on multiple exchanges really easily, and you choose with whom you want to share it. And all the data is fully end-to-end encrypted, so that you need to go and like decrypt the data and re-encrypt it for a new target. So the decentralized identity is a good use case as well. We are also working with a few dexes like Serum, Orion, Jarvis for the order books and for the security of the data streams and security of the order books. So in the DeFi space, it's quite useful to have a solution like Aleph. Also in the IoT space, there is a few good use cases. With a few bigger companies, we are working on the data sharing. One of those companies already took a core channel node on our network. The idea is that big companies have a lot of storage, terabyte of storage that they need to transfer between sites all over the world, and the fully decentralized peer-to-peer network is quite a good fit for that. And also the good part is that a lot of big companies have a lot of servers all over the world, and they want to monetize them. Let's say that normally they would just have 10 servers per place in the world, but sometimes they will need a search like 30 or 40. But they can't afford it because all the time it would cost them a lot. If we provide a solution with which they can monetize those excellent servers when they don't use it, they can afford to have way more servers all over the world. So it's quite interesting for big multinational companies to be able to like monetize servers that they would have. And also to have their own internal cloud, which is fully encrypted. I think of the defense sector, for example, where multiple companies that can't trust each other will want to share data, and they want it to be fully encrypted, so that these companies also want to like store it in-house and be able to like overflow to the public cloud if needed. That's also something that we can provide. And there is a lot of many more use cases that we are working on. And obviously also on the NFT space, there is a few projects that are interested to like have our network as a data storage layer for the NFT natively inside their NFT, so that there is no need for the user to come and back up it because it's already backed up on our network, for example.
Very good, Jonathan. And well, just to finish off this part of the podcast, any final words on NFTs? Like, so you know, are there any NFTs that you like? Any projects that you're watching? Are you an NFT collector yourself?
Well, I'm a little bit an NFT collector. I've made a few NFT to try and obviously to test our platform. I've got a few ones. The one I kind of liked was the CryptoCats. I found it pretty funny. CryptoPunks, obviously, I like it. I don't have any. I'm kind of priced out, I guess. Yeah. But one project that I really look forward is Eternity, which is kind of interesting as an NFT project. There is a few big companies that will come and do NFTs because a lot of companies are doing it right now. And hopefully we will have their data on the Aleph.im network. So I'm quite excited about it. What as a final word, I think that the really important part are the cryptography keys management for the encrypted part of NFTs, which should come in the next few years. I think that it's really critical to start seriously working on it. On the specific actions linked to NFTs, so that they are really useful on not just the ownership of an image, for example, which is already great, but I think that we can go really further on that end.
Fantastic. And look, Jonathan, I can't help but notice, I think I need to bring this to your attention and the listeners as well. I think by the time I release this podcast, which will be very quickly, I'll release it reasonably quickly, but I don't know, if you look at your computer, you'll see that Bitcoin and Ethereum have both just hit new all-time highs, Jonathan.
Whoa! Right now, I didn't have a look, but it's great. It's really great for the world space.
Yeah, and look, I guess, since we are talking about this, any thoughts on the market at all? So, Bitcoin is, as I look at it, it's at $62,463 US. So, we're over 62. In fact, we're now at 62,500. So that is a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Great to see. And Ethereum is at $2,193 at the moment. So looking at Bitcoin in particular looking strong.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. Well, I think that this time could be different, but it's the new paradigm way. But it feels like it feels a bit different and not just a simple bubble like the previous ones in 2013, 2011, 2017. I think that we might be witnessing something different this time. So I'm really, really excited about it and really excited to be working in the space for years now and seeing that happen.
Yeah, you and me both, Jonathan. Okay. Well, I think we better leave it there for today's podcast. But thank you so much for joining us today on this historic day as we hit simultaneous all-time highs on Bitcoin and Ethereum. But just close it out, Jonathan. So tell the people where they can go to learn more about what you guys are building over at Aleph, and if people are sitting on NFTs that are rising in value potentially as ETH goes up, it's probably worth their while to go and look at your service so they can potentially back them up. So what should they do? Where do they go?
Well, they should get a few Aleph tokens. For that, it's on Uniswap, PancakeSwap on the Binance chain, or even on Solana. We are also on Serum. Our token is on a few blockchains. Currently, for the NFT backup, it's mainly on Ethereum, but we will bring it to other blockchain pretty soon. So just have your tokens in your wallet and log in on account.aleph.im with a Web3 compatible browser and go on the left on the NFT tab, and then just click import and paste your NFT URL and go on. And you will be all set.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. All the best and bye for now.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, well, there you go. That was Jonathan from Aleph. And certainly if you do have NFTs, as discussed, probably a good time to back them up. And always cool to be doing a podcast and I just sort of happened to look at my phone and saw a Twitter notification that, so Bitcoin and Ethereum just in the last 5 minutes since we talked about it. Bitcoin now at $62,673 and ETH is at 2,200. So if I aim to put this podcast out in probably 12, 14 hours time. Be very interesting to see how much the price has gone up again since then, which does indeed look possible. Anyway, let's move on. Let's close out the show. Please do get at me if you've got any feedback at Andy Pickering NZ on Twitter, or just drop me an email, andy@bravenewcoin.com. All right, that is us. We're out of here. Lots of podcasts lined up in the next week or so, including something a little bit special with Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink. So do stay tuned for that. That is coming soon. All right, out of here. Bye for now. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave